We are the anchors of Queer News Tonight, and this evening we discuss the queer headlines. An American Civil Liberties Union-backed lawsuit accuses Key West officials of targeting LGBTQ expression after a lesbian couple was fined for painting their fence in rainbow pride colors.
A new U.S. report found that transgender youth who are denied hormone care faced higher suicide attempt rates. Additionally, anti-LGBTQ+ laws continue worsening mental health fears among trans and non-binary young people.
Let's do lunch. Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz talks with me about affordability and bipartisanship.
More LGBTQ+ Americans are leaving Christianity or seeking affirming churches as younger generations increasingly reject anti-LGBTQ+ teachings in organized religion across the United States.
The Trump administration faces backlash after labeling radically pro-transgender groups as extremist threats, while ignoring the threat created by far-right extremism or white nationalist groups. All this important LGBTQ+ news and a whole lot more this evening on Queer News Tonight. Welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ daily news television show broadcasting live and available on demand on your favorite streaming channels.
Analytics company vidIQ has certified the Queer News Tonight YouTube channel as the world's most popular LGBTQ+ streaming news show. Our queer stories have reached over 12 million views.
We are proud that Queer News Tonight has more YouTube subscribers than any other LGBTQ+ brand in Florida.
We thank you for watching and supporting our voice and our rainbow family. There is no other news program in the LGBTQ world like Queer News Tonight.
That's right, Kishi. It is Monday, May 11th. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we will tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
You're watching Queer News Tonight, the world's first daily LGBTQ evening news show.
Welcome to the world's most important LGBTQ evening news show.
Hotspots Happening Out Television Network is a nonprofit 501c3 media company in the same model as PBS and NPR, but created for the LGBTQ+ community. Our nonprofit mission is to support the 11 pillars of our community. We want to inform and educate the key issues of lesbian, trans, Latino, Black, healthcare, seniors, students, faith, social justice, business, and queer culture. Help us support our diverse community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ+ nonprofit media companies in America. Hotspots Happening Out and Happening Out South Florida.
In 2026, our magazine is celebrating 41 years of the LGBTQ experience, and Queer News Tonight is celebrating our 5th anniversary with more than 14,000 LGBTQ television stories. We present South Florida's major LGBTQ events, including Pride Fort Lauderdale, Stonewall Pride, and Pride Fest. Our magazine events, television news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ and broader community.
In 2026, more than 100 community leaders will sit at this very table and share their voice as our anchors. Together, we host this show to support the LGBTQ+ community. Let's meet this evening's anchors at Queer News Tonight. Let's welcome anchor Edward Otto Zielke back to the table.
Yeah.
An accomplished brand influencer and marketing leader with a dynamic background in financial services and travel marketing. Edward currently serves as a director of marketing and sponsorship for the world famous Gay Men's Chorus of South Florida. He also serves on the Gala Chorus's communications committee in his spare time, which is never, because he's got an incredible boyfriend and a wonderful cat that takes up a lot of his time. How are you, my fellow Jerseyan?
I am doing fantastic. It was a really good weekend. It was Mother's Day weekend. I actually got to, spend time on the phone with my mom. She's up in New Jersey, so I wished her well. And Andrew was up visiting his mom up in Delray. So besides working, I had a day off where I just kind of relaxed and just tuned out from everybody, which doesn't happen very often for me.
No,
So
I was surprised you didn't have an event. You didn't have.
I had one on Saturday night. Tropical Waves concert was that night.
Please
It went
tell me.
It was so well. It was the American Songbook that we promoted last week.
Yes.
And yeah, you know, ticket sales, I was like, oh, we're at about over 100, but we had about 40 walk-ins. So it was really nice. It felt packed in the church, and we were just so thrilled and very well received. You know, these were songs that like you heard from in World War II, like I'll Be Seeing You and stuff. So a lot of people that were there were just really sentimental about it. So it was great.
And where was it?
It was over at the United Church of Christ in Fort Lauderdale. So
we love the United Church of Christ.
they're doing such great work in their spaces. They had the Mid-South South Florida pageant there as well. So yeah, it's just so wonderful what they're doing. And I think they're renovating too at that church there as well.
They're busy, and it's a big space, you know. So big shout out going to the Reverend out there. I forgot his name.
Reverend Aaron Lauer.
Aaron,
he is also in the chorus too, and he is such a love.
Let me
tell you, Aaron Lauer, man.
That's it.
We can't thank him enough for hosting
That's it.
us.
Him and Joe Aiken have taken
Joe
me to
Aiken,
lunch and been so sweet and like just so welcoming.
This church
you know?
is really, really
So
fun.
I'm really looking forward to see what else we get to do at UCC, at United Church of Christ, because a lot more is coming for sure. Well, Edward, thank you so much for being at the table at Queer News Tonight. Let's welcome back to the table my friend, anchor John Hayden. He's a journalist for 31 years, and he now focuses on hyper-local reporting, covering LGBTQ plus issues in Wilton Manors, Lauderdale by the Sea, Fort Lauderdale, Oakland Park. If you're gay and you're in that vicinity, right, you need to follow this guy, okay? You can see all his reports at Greater Wilton Manors on YouTube and Facebook. So, John, my bestie, you've been talking with a lovely lad lately. Can you tell me about it?
I have been speaking with a lovely lad, Benedict Cork.
Yes.
He is coming across the pond to play Grey Box Theater this Friday. He was here a couple years ago, so we had a chat to catch up. Me, from my home studio, him from the terrace of his lovely London flat. Now, tickets are available at Greybox Theater, or greybox.theater, and he's already here and hanging out in Wilton. Benedict is really sweet and fun and cannot wait for the show this Friday. I was thinking back to the first time we met, which was 2.5 years ago at Hunter's nightclub.
I was down for loving. Every talk, every touch, that made me think you drink every night.
And you had just dropped the song, If These Walls Could Talk. And now you're back with, you've done a lot musically in that time. How have you grown? What are we going to see that's different from the little Benedict that we saw a couple years ago?
Oh, the little Benedict, bless him. Yeah, I mean, a whole album came out in that time. So just after I played those shows, my first album came out, and then since then I've been writing the second one. So actually lots and lots of new music in the meantime, and lots of shows and touring and stuff. It's been a really fun couple of years, and I really enjoy the in-between times where I'm sort of living life a little bit and finding stuff to write songs about, but I'm also very excited to kind of get back to performing over the summer and try out some of this new music.
Maybe I was just another love for the summer.
And we're going to get to hear some of that new music first before summer, before he hits the road, hits Prides, and hits all that. Tickets are available at greybox.theater. And yeah, I just can't wait for the show on Friday. It's going to be fantastic.
Listen, I adore this kid, and I have to tell you that I had never even heard of him until Rock the Block, okay? Yeah. And so Rock the Block was a couple of years ago, and it was in Wilton Manors, and it was the first time that an organization had like closed down those two streets right there on Wilton. I think it's more than two streets, but it was such an incredible event, and I was so blessed to be contracted by Harmony Waves and all those folks, Gary Van Horn and them, to host that year. And it was just magnificent to just hear his music. And I just decided to just like download his music from, you know, Apple Music, Spotify, and whatever. And I just put it in the car, and I just was like, you know, everything that he was talking about was like, you know what I mean? Like one tequila and I wouldn't see you for days. Oh my God, that reminds me of my ex-girl. You know, like another line that he says, you know, I never really liked your mother. I had that happen to me too. Like, you know, he speaks about our world, boys. You know, I can't wait to see Benedict Cork, and then to see it in my Grey Box, which is such an incredible new venue that is really opening their doors for our community and like allowing people to shine on that beautiful stage that they have over there.
Yeah.
You know?
Like I said, can't wait. He is a lovely lad. Can't wait to say, hey, Ben.
Hey, Ben, hey. Queer News Tonight looks forward to seeing you all at Grey Box Theater on May 16th for the one and only Benedict Cork. Let's welcome back to the table anchor Kishi Chad. He's a Brooklyn-born, South Florida-raised, Jamaican and British LGBTQ plus performer, community advocate, and organizer, okay? And by performer, this man could sing, he could dance his cute butt off. I mean, I have been privileged to see him perform on stages and been blown away. He is known for his work in mental wellness and community advocacy, particularly with organizations like the Caribbean Equality Project, prioritizing Caribbean LGBT political empowerment in Florida, often focusing on increasing voter turnout, which is super important. Welcome back to the table, Kishi Chad. How are you, honey?
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
I'm happy to be back here on the stage. And just to remind you all, we do have a voting election taking place this year. It is the Florida midterms. The primaries in 3 months. The general is in 6. So you all and your family and friends, please remind them to, if they aren't registered to vote, but they're eligible to do that, and also to check their voter registration status.
Kishi, and I'm going to ask you something that somebody might think of, okay? Like, hey, we're in Florida. Why vote? It's a lost vote anyway. What would you tell that person?
I would tell them that every vote matters because every opinion counts. And as a progressive voter, I want to see all Floridians, regardless of their party affiliation, thrive. And if you don't enter into the voting system and step up and speak up not only for yourself, but the people you love, things will be taken away from you. And it maybe you feel that you don't need insurance, but your grandma, your grandpa, the neighbor may have a condition, whether it is mental illness or a physical disability. We have to look beyond ourselves and think about those around us as well.
And can I just add one more thing to your point about registering to vote? Just because you're registered and you voted by mail the last election cycle, you may have been kicked off of the vote by mail. So you should definitely go in and check
it
to
out.
see,
Check your
to make sure that you may still be registered, right? But not vote by mail.
Yeah.
Come on.
Come on with that, right? Supporting
Right?
Kishi. Look at you, John. Did you pay him to say the rest of that?
No, this is just a team.
Oh.
A team
We are
that's
kindred spirits right here.
informed
He
and
don't-
empowered.
He don't usually help nobody. That's what I'm
Well, it's good. It's good that we're having these conversations now because it is very important that we're out there and
it's so
getting the
close.
vote. And you know what our state is trying to do in terms of all the organizing and gerrymandering of all the counties. So this is a topic, and we should definitely be focusing on it at least, often in our conversations about, are you registered? Are you voting? Helping people in the community that don't have access to it.
Yeah. And I mean, 3 months is nothing.
Yeah.
No, and just one thing before we go to the next part. Only 54% of Floridians that are registered and eligible to vote did so in 2022, and only 63% did in the 2018 election. DeSantis only won by 34,000. So when we say, okay, every vote counts and matters, exactly. The numbers state that if we all turn up, we can actually make progress.
100%. I
Yeah.
mean, it's so important. And one last thing that I think I'll add to that is, running is important, right? If you have the means and you want to run and serve our community, we need LGBTQ plus and allies in those positions, And when you're voting, those positions are super important. That's our city commission, right?
Yep.
That's our schools. That's our school board. Like those seats are highly important. Everything that we fight for our kids getting the right education and being able to be their true authentic selves in school are usually stopped at that level, So it's so important to just go out and vote. So thank you for bringing that up, Kishi. And welcome back to the table at Queer News Tonight.
Thank you.
And of course, let's welcome tonight's lead anchor, FayWhat. She is legendary events host, television and radio personality, and the host of the Hotspots Happening Outs, The FayWhat Show. Faye Take Pride honors South Florida's LGBTQ plus leaders at the Galleria, Fort Lauderdale on May 28th. And you're hosting it, of course. Tell us what's happening out.
I'm so excited for this. And every single year, this has been just such a just wonderful high moment of the Pride season. Thank you so much to Michael Goodman and Goodman PR for doing their amazing work, and History Fort Lauderdale as well. So, join me at Take Pride. It's happening on May 28th, and it's at Galleria Fort Lauderdale. Lauderdale, like Edward said, and the event will benefit History Fort Lauderdale. So attendees will enjoy a cocktail reception, an exhibition honoring the LGBTQ plus community advocates ahead of the Wilton Manor Stonewall Pride Parade and Street Festival. The first look at the exhibition, Coming Out of the Shadows, will run from May 29th through June 30th. Honorees include community leaders, artists, activists, and public officials making a lasting impact across South Florida. More information is available at historyfortlauderdale.org. So I was one of the folks that were celebrated last year, and I couldn't have been happier. I was there on that stage, sharing a stage with my beautiful brother Tony Lima and Scott Holland from Hotspots Happening Out, and so many other incredible folks. I have been hosting the event now. This will be my 4th year hosting it. My goodness. And I'm blown away by the committee that puts these folks together, because it's just like we have so many incredible people in our community that deserve their flowers. You know, I mean, we celebrate too many people after they're gone. No, while they're here, you know, and this year is no different. You know, Ronnie Larson is one of the folks that's being spotlighted. I adore, you know, Ronnie Larson. I went to see the all-male peep show.
Woo!
It was nice. Thank you. I mean, you know, Nicole Stoddard, she's an incredible theater and play director who has produced so many different plays and is just so talented in her own right. Bill Schultz, our chief of police, always representing us, having an LGBTQ plus representative to the fullest. He knows us, he feels us, he's been through what we're going through. Whenever I see that man on TV, you know, it's usually something not so great. But I'm like, he's representing us. You know what I mean? He's representing us. The beautiful, dynamic, iconic, and just, I'm in love with her, Tatiana Braxton from Trans Inclusive Group. Girl, flowers. I can't wait to give her a big ass hug when she gets hers. And there's other folks that you guys had favorites. Who are you thinking of?
Well, Out SFL publisher Jason Parsley.
And his hair.
And, don't even get me started. But, you know, he has committed his life to queer-centric journalism. You know, Out SFL now, which he co-founded after the death of Norm Kent, who founded, among other things, South Florida Gay News, which Jason worked for a very long time. So just that he has put in that kind of time and effort into journalism serving our community is just really awesome. And this event, Take Pride, will also be doubling that evening as the Ms. Out SFL post-gala or post-pageant gala. So we will be celebrating our new queen, who is
Angie
Ovanes Price.
Oh my God. Get her name right.
I only wrote it a dozen times last week.
Angie, don't beat his ass. He know not what he said.
Angie, I love you, baby. I'm so sorry, but she's awesome. So it's really going to be a great night of celebrating our community and our newest drag queen.
Yes, it'll be the first time that she will be performing in front of that stage for our community leaders with that new sash on. So I'm looking forward to seeing that for sure. And you had 2 favorites of your own.
I do. Actually, first I want to also acknowledge Dennis Dean.
Oh my God.
You know, for Arts United. I mean, it just in that space, which of course the art is always beautiful and stuff, but he invents it so that way there's like small little like shows that happen in there too. And it's lively. So it's wonderful. You don't just get an art show, you get a show. So, but how could you not forget Robert Griffin and Jarrell Watkins, our bishops here at Sunshine Cathedral, who are so deserving of this. They've opened up their doors practically to just about everybody, including Hotspots Happening Out and the Gay Men's Chorus of South Florida. So they're just so giving, and they keep, you know, elevating in terms of different programming here, and they're really active in trying to make sure our youth are okay. So who'd be better to take pride?
Look, we have a story coming up about like religious organizations and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like when you come to Sunshine Cathedral, it really is all are welcome. It's not like those signs that you're triggered by, right? Because I know I'm still triggered by when I go by certain churches, you know? These bishops make sure that everybody, queer or not, are, you know, included, and it's all inclusive. I mean, it's just incredible what they do. So deserving.
Yes.
You know? I'm FayWhat, and let's queer up South Florida and Florida. Florida lesbian couple sues Key West over rainbow fence fines. A lesbian couple in Key West is suing the city after receiving fines for painting rainbow colors on their fence in protest of the removal of pride crosswalks. The federal lawsuit, backed by the American Civil Liberties Union, argues that city officials selectively enforce local code rules against LGBTQ-related expression, violating the First Amendment protections. Coley San and Linda Bagley San repainted 12 fence pickets at their Old Town home in rainbow colors after the Key West City Commission voted to remove decorated crosswalks following pressure from Florida officials. The move came after transportation officials across the state pushed to eliminate rainbow street art, claiming public safety concerns. According to the lawsuit, more than 50 homeowners across Key West later painted rainbow fences in solidarity. But city officials cited the Bagley-San family after receiving a complaint from a neighbor who is allegedly known for anti-LGBTQ views. The couple faced fines of up to $250 per day unless the fence was repainted white. They eventually removed the rainbow colors in March to avoid further penalties. The lawsuit also notes that many homes in Key West have door and shutters painted in colors that don't comply with city codes. Pictures in the federal complaint show examples around the city that never attracted code enforcement's attention. That suggests it's the use of the colors in a familiar pattern associated with the rainbow flag and the queer rights movement that triggered enforcement. Florida really said, not that rainbow pickets. Baby, if a colorful fence threatens your peace that much, the problem is not the paint, it's the prejudice, okay? And Key West policing rainbows? That's like Miami banning Botox. That don't make no sense at all. Like, at all.
Well, okay, first off, this screams Karen from
100%.
Start to finish. Now, Key West Old Town is like an HOA. Like, they are very strict about their looks and everything. So I will say that for them, that they're generally consistent.
Yeah.
On, like, especially on Duval Street and the first streets right off. But that said, we saw many little designs. I think we saw the pineapples. We saw the heart on a fence. So this is selective enforcement. I from the way I read this story and from what I've heard down in Key West, is Key West didn't go after them. This is the neighbor, and if the neighbor has a legitimate complaint, whatever's driving it, Key West kind of has to go after
and enforcement.
it. And enforcement. So, but I'm just saying, the woman who complained, her grass better not be taller than 2 1/8 inches, because we are going to be out there measuring every single day, and bitch, you're getting fined.
Yeah.
How wonderful is it that a bunch of other neighbors painted their fence in solidarity? I'm going to take that part of the story and kind of like hold it close to my heart, because I thought that was wonderful.
I love that they did that, because in a very contentious time like now, where the governor is homophobic and has gone after rainbow crosswalks, I don't think it is a stretch for people to assume that it is singling out those individuals or that it's like a homophobic attack. But to see the community come together in solidarity, that is what it's all about. And I think that from this story is what gives me a sigh of relief and hope.
Yeah. Like, I remember when Key West used to be gay, folks. You know what I mean? Like, not really. Not with all those Trump shirts in all the windows and all the anti stuff. Like, it just doesn't feel as gay as it used to.
According to my STD report, it's still pretty gay.
Doxy works for you.
I'm Edward Otto Zielke, and let's queer up trans rights. Trevor Project survey finds higher suicide risk among trans youth who are denied hormone care. The report analyzed responses from more than 10,000 trans, non-binary, and genderqueer young people across the United States. According to the findings, 15% of the youth denied hormone access reported attempting suicide within the past year, compared to 8% of those currently receiving hormone treatment. The survey also found that among respondents between the ages of 13 and 17, only 10% reported currently taking hormones, while just 3% said that they were using puberty blockers. Researchers said the findings add to the growing evidence linking restrictions on gender-affirming care to worsen mental health outcomes for transgender youth. The report also highlights concerns about the anti-LGBTQ+ legislation nationwide. Among trans and non-binary youth currently receiving hormones, 87% said that they fear losing access to care. Another 94% said that recent anti-LGBTQ+ laws and political debates have negatively affected their mental health. If you or someone you know is struggling, support is available through the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 988 in the United States. Wow, no one should be afraid of losing their health care, especially, our young people who desperately need it. And it's a fundamental right. I'm just so grateful that we live here, in South Florida, where, we're trying to, protect our youth and, having things like, new schools open to LGBTQ youth and, and really focusing on them. We're trying to make a stab and trying to get them taken care of, but it's so scary for them, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the Trevor Project is amazing. Thank you to the Trevor Project for all they do. Their stats are always on point. Thank you to MAC Cosmetics and Mackenzie Scott, who are the biggest backers of the Trevor Project, for all you do. You would think that if a company like the Trevor Project says gender affirming care, make sure that our trans kids stay alive, that would be enough. And it's not. To be a queer kid and to see something like this and say, I'm not cared about, I'm not important enough, to have this. The rhetoric is real. Okay. There are people, I have had conversations with people that really do believe that a drag queen goes into an elementary school and gives a vaccine to a kid and makes them gay. All right. You laugh, but this is what these people think. Okay. These people also think that we're doing, gender surgery on a kid. Okay. That's not happening. Nowhere is that happening,
I mean, we educate ourselves and we definitely, research it, and we're not just willy-nilly, so a kid comes up to you and says, I want to be this, and we're just going to just give it to them. No, this is a lot of time and a lot of process for people. So yeah, it's not so like a switch turning on and off for them.
Yeah.
Edward, your story had a lot of numbers in it.
Yeah.
And each one hurts, but taken as a whole, it's a body blow. And the fact is, one would be too many.
Yeah, absolutely.
1%, one person is too many. And I hate to say this, but anti-trans legislation really started moving in 2021. So we're about 5 years in. And I remember I sat at this table 5 years ago and said, all this stuff that we feel anecdotally, we're going to have scary, disturbing numbers to back it up. And now we're 5 years in and we have quantifiable data that shows this legislation, these policies, this rhetoric is murder. The policies of anti-trans are not pro-parent. They're not pro-kid. They're just murder.
Yeah, and trans rights are human rights.
Right.
When I think of trans people, I think of humanity that they deserve. And I laughed earlier because of all of the rhetoric you mentioned. They were able to successfully weaponize that and put a target on the back of trans people all throughout America. And they literally only see trans people as some sort of radical movement or some sort of political talking point. And these are actual living human beings. We all have trans people in our lives that we care about. And all I want to see is them have the same rights as anybody in this country. And we have so many great organizations locally that we all know that have not only done the work in making sure that they take care of trans people here in South Florida, but the education for those of us who aren't trans, it's very important for us to receive it. And it's very important for those of us who love trans people to be allies and understand what their needs are and how we can speak for them in rooms and at tables that they're not present.
And if we're at tables and in rooms where they're not present, we need to stand up and say, where are they?
Yes, yes.
Hey everyone, I'm John Hayden, and let's queer up politics. Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz is fighting the good fight on the front lines in Washington. Well, she was back in the district for the weekend to meet with constituents and gave me an exclusive interview. Hey everyone, John Hayden at Hagen Park for SunServe's monthly senior luncheon. They got some food, they got some music, and they got some straight talk from a Florida congresswoman
who's fighting for us on the front lines.
President Trump has caused chaotic military action that has resulted in consequences that they never planned for or thought about. And
Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz laying out the ramifications of the Trump administration's policies.
The Secretary of the Treasury admitted, Patty, I'm sure you heard this, admitted that this was a backdoor way of starting to travel down the road of privatization of Social Security. That's really what they've been trying to do for years since the George W. Bush administration. Well, over my dead body, will they ever privatize Social Security?
She was the guest speaker at SunServe's Silver Serve monthly lunch and was serving up facts directly impacting this audience.
Motivated, senior, reliable voters. You know your demographic when you came to speak today. Why did you choose this group to come talk to?
Well, it is incredibly important that we make sure that the senior LGBTQ plus community understands what's happening. You know, they are, like many seniors, really living on a knife's edge in too many cases, where making ends meet is really a struggle. Folks who have to sort of piece together the income to be able to make sure that they can make ends meet. And the attacks coming from Washington right now and the lack of interest on the part of the Republican majority to do anything to make life more affordable, and in fact things like the Iran war and Trump's tariffs are making things worse.
She also shared a story about reaching across the aisle and finding common ground in unlikely allies.
Was a conservative Texas Republican, and I am a liberal Florida Democrat, who, we couldn't be more opposite.
We also have to get caught trying to reach out to those that may be reasonable, that would meet us halfway.
Singer Matthew Darrad made a surprise appearance, giving the crowd a preview of his new show, The Switch. Food and drink was sponsored by our fund.
Well, it is an election year, so Congresswoman Wasserman Schultz will certainly not be a stranger here. I know she's going to be at Pride coming up next month, and I'm sure she'll be here for myriad events as well. She's always been a strong ally. As for the luncheon, SunServe does it monthly. So check out their website, and maybe you can join them next time. At Hagen Park in Wilton Manors, I'm John Hayden.
Yeah, you know, SunServe does that Silver Serve lunch, as I said, every month. They told me that this was the biggest crowd that they've had in at least a year. We love you, Matthew. I'm sure you brought in some people, but they were really there to talk with Debbie. And she didn't take questions directly from the podium, but she spent over half an hour, I wouldn't even call it working the room, just going up and saying hi and addressing people's concerns one-on-one. Yeah. So it was a really good way to spend my afternoon. So thank you, Congresswoman, and thank you, SunServe.
She's incredible. Okay, you know, listen, whether you agree with her or not, right? Debbie Wasserman Schultz keeps showing up. She keeps speaking up, and she keeps on taking the heat for us in a lot of spaces, okay? Her little self is the one fighting the big Goliath, and she does it proudly as an incredible ally that she is, you know? And right now we need people in Washington fighting louder than the people trying to freaking erase us. And that is what Debbie's doing. So we really appreciate that. John, great reporting. Thank you so much. That was wonderful. Yeah. And if you want to follow John Hayden everywhere he goes, make sure you follow him on social media, because, you know, Greater Wilton Manors has so many different things going on. If you live in the surrounding areas, you want to follow John Hayden to know what's going on in your area.
I'm Kishi Chad, and let's queer up faith. LGBTQ plus Christians leaving churches as anti-gay policies drive faith shift across the U.S. A growing number of LGBTQ plus Americans raised in Christian households are leaving the church or seeking more affirming faith communities as tensions between sexuality and religion continue across the United States. Research from the Williams Institute at UCLA shows nearly 2/3 of LGBTQ plus people raised Christian no longer identify with the faith. Experts point to long-standing anti-LGBTQ plus teachings in many major denominations as a key factor behind the shift. While some churches, including parts of the Methodist, Presbyterian, Episcopal, and Unitarian Universalist traditions, openly welcome queer members, Many conservative denominations still oppose same-sex relationships or require celibacy from gay believers. Religious researchers say younger Americans are also reshaping the future of faith in the U.S. According to Pew Research Center data, only 46% of adults ages 18 to 24 identify as Christian, compared to 80% of Americans who are 74 and older. Younger adults are also far more likely to identify as religiously unaffiliated. Psychologists and faith leaders say LGBTQ plus inclusion has become a defining issue for many younger believers deciding whether to remain connected to religion. So as a spiritual person who was christened as a child, I'm grateful that I was never forced to practice. I come from a very progressive, open-minded family, and as a teen, I leaned more into Buddhism and Hinduism. And as I became more politically involved, I really wanted to see a divide between church and state, because I find that around the world, many cultures, many governments often utilize religion as a weapon to commit harm towards the LGBT community. And I wish that there were more people of faith in power that actually used it to unite each other, because we see how, for instance, the story we talked about with trans youth, a lot of religion in a lot of conservative talking points are used to hold them back. And I'm grateful for places like the Sunshine Cathedral.
100%.
And there's a lot of places like that here in South Florida, but we can't ignore the harm that religion has done to LGBTQ community, as well as numerous other issues in American history that religion was utilized as a
weapon, like you said,
yes.
and that's what's happening here, right? That's what it seems like it's happening here. You know, you took us to church, literally, right? Like I learned a lot from your story, you know. And the one thing that popped out was that celibacy for gay believers.
Why?
I haven't been celibate since the start of this show. Sorry about that, Edward.
Andrew, that's not true.
You can't preach God is love on Sunday and then hand queer people rejection on Monday. You can't. You know what I mean? Young people are not leaving faith because they hate God. They're leaving spaces where they were told God hates them, right? And that's why places like Sunshine Cathedral, Unity on the Bay exist, and they open their doors to all the queer people you want. You know what I mean?
You know, I agree with almost everything you said, but I will take exception to one thing. You wish we had more spiritually minded people in Congress. I disagree. I would like to see 435 congressmen and 100 senators all be atheist. Because right now, no, I mean, this is what it has been for the entire term of our republic. It's constitutionally protected discrimination.
100%.
And, you know, I'm not going to sit here. I mean, I'll sit here and praise, and I'm not going to hate on Sunshine and UCC Church. But on balance, and going back even before Christianity, even before the Common Era, religion has always been used as a bludgeon for power, to prop up governments,
to start wars.
And you look at our current regime. You've got Pete Hegseth said, I'm going to go play war, and he's all like, we need to be a Christian nation. He's not against religion running countries. He's just against Muslims, against Judaism. He's against anything other than fundamental Christianity ruling governments. And that should be scary to everyone.
I want to just look at this data again 1 second, because, 46% of adults aged 18 to 24 identify as Christian, compared to 80% of Americans who are 74 and older. So we're seeing a lot of, the older folks that are just kind of dwindling off. And the newer, like you said, the newer generation that's coming in is more accepting of diverse type of, teachings and stuff. As someone, who grew up with very confusing religious beliefs, I grew up as a Lutheran, but then later on, as my family changed, they all decided that they wanted to explore Catholicism, and they all went to the Catholic Church. So, when I was a teenager, after I went there and saw all of the negativity towards our community. And it really more or less shut the door on my experiences with religion. And to be quite honest, even still today, I still have a hard time going into some of these, places of worship. But I realize that not every church is the same and not every experience is the same. So,
of course.
And we are so grateful down here to have Sunshine Cathedral, the United Church of Christ, and so many other blessing, places where people can gather just to be spiritual and just to be loving. And that's really what it's all about.
Yeah. And folks at home, okay, it's hard in our community, and we deserve to be able to go to a religious place, to a spiritual place, to wherever it is. When churches bring family, bring relationships, bring social circles, help so much and so many different dynamics, it can be useful done the right way,
And it's a personal thing.
But I mean, I know gay people that will go to the Catholic service every Sunday. Like, it's like punishment, like, on them. Yeah. Like, why would you put yourself through that? Like, well, I'm FayWhat, and let's queer up trans rights. Trump counterterrorism memo targets radically pro-trans activism. The Trump administration is facing criticism after a new White House counterterrorism directive identified radically pro-transgender groups as ideologies federal agencies should monitor. The 16-page memo directs intelligence agencies to focus on groups described as anti-American, radically pro-transgender, while making no mention of far-right extremism or white nationalist groups. Officials pointed to recent acts of violence, including the 2025 killing of conservative activist Charlie Kirk, allegedly carried out by Tyler Robinson, who prosecutors say had recently begun dating a trans woman and criticizing Kirk online. White House counterterrorism official Sebastian Gorka also referenced school shootings involving alleged transgender perpetrators as justification for heightened scrutiny of trans-related activism. However, data reviewed by the Gun Violence Archive and findings from researchers consistently show that transgender people make up an extremely small fraction of mass shooters in the United States, and the overwhelming majority of perpetrators are cisgendered men. Critics say the policy unfairly links transgender identity and advocacy to extremism. This could further spread anti-trans rhetoric, especially now when trans Americans are facing high levels of violence and harassment. So now supporting trans people is being framed like extremism. That's super dangerous, irresponsible, and honestly embarrassing. Trans people are trying to survive, not take over Gotham City. Maybe focus on actual violent extremists instead that are actually really trying to hurt our country.
I agree with you. And this failure of an administration does not take any accountability for what they've done to us in this country. We have a war in Iran that is driving the price of everything up. They are absolutely protecting abusers by not releasing the Epstein files. And this stunt queen will continue to stage assassination attempts, but will not fulfill his duty of being a president and actually making life more affordable. I will not be forgiving to this administration or to anyone who made the trans people the enemy and a target when they're not even 1% of this country's population.
I'm going to take issue with what you said. Again, I agree with you mostly on the whole, but you say that they fail to recognize what they've done to our community. I say they do recognize what they've done to our community. They celebrate what they've done to our community. Hurting us is the point. Hurting us, taking aim at us. Well, I will tell you, I am radically transgender. I am absolutely Antifa. So come on at me. Come at me. Go ahead and tase me, bro. Because you're a bunch of fascists. And, one of the best pieces of art, of cartoon satiristic art that I've seen in the last year was a picture of Marsha P. Johnson in heaven peeing down on Charlie Kirk in hell. And I'm like, that summarizes up everything I feel.
I need to see this.
Can I get that as a tattoo?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm just saying.
I have to go look that one up.
All right. LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up drag culture. Katya opens up about hell on earth health scare. On May 4th, we reported about Drag Race star Katya being hospitalized with a mysterious illness, forcing her to postpone a show with her co-star and friend, Trixie Mattel. Katya has finally revealed the health details. She shared the update on Twitter, explaining that doctors discovered a blockage in her small intestine that required surgery to remove and reconnect parts of her intestines. Katya said she spent 10 days in the hospital with a feeding tube in her nose and was unable to eat or drink during what she described as absolute hell on earth. Katya also said she is back home and recovering. Fans were quick to show their support, and the fellow Drag Race stars, including Michelle Visage, Shea Coulee, and Ross Matthews, also shared messages of support online. Katya, my God, what did Trixie do to you? Oh my God, that doesn't seem like, when I saw the story, I was like, oh, food poisoning or something like that. You know what I mean? I was like, coño, girl, you got to be careful where those tricks take you, right? You know? But then when it was like 10 days, you know, and like hell on earth, and that she wasn't able to eat or drink, I was like, oh, this has got to be way worse. So it's good to finally hear the details, but girl, get better. I'm so sorry.
No, I remember reporting on this story last week, and, you know, my first thought was she's been very open about her struggles and addiction and stuff. So I thought, oh, maybe this is something related to that. But it's not any better. But, you know, I mean, at least now we know that, you know, it's something that she could be treated for and that hopefully she'll be able to recover. But, you know, we're definitely sending Katya our good wishes and hoping that for speedy health. I actually got to meet Katya when I used to manage the Grand Resort and Spa here in Fort Lauderdale Beach. And so the drag queens would come in as a sponsored stay, and so they would come and stay, and I got to know Katya outside of the.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
you didn't tell us that.
Well, you know, I have a little story now and then I like to share, but no, just a wonderful human being and a very nice gentleman, and we're just wishing her all the best.
So what I'm really hoping for is that Trixie snuck into the operating room afterwards, found the discarded intestine that was, and then gets it like freeze dried and made up like a necklace to give to Katya when she returns. That would be awesome.
Or she could get the piece and like make it into a butt plug.
Ooh.
Okay, that's kind of creative.
That'll be.
You just outgrossed me. Outgrossed me, FayWhat.
I'm just saying.
No, that would be something that they would do on their show.
Yes, absolutely.
And all of a sudden, like the editing and BC and I guarantee you it's going to be on there.
You folks can have it. It's okay. I love to watch it.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up lesbian and trans women. South Korea's parents back daughter's same-sex marriage in landmark court case. Park Yeon-jin and Wang Hee-young held a wedding ceremony in 2020, but South Korea does not legally recognize marriage equality. The couple filed a lawsuit after being unable to register their marriage. Yeon-jin's parents submitted depositions supporting the relationship ahead of a court hearing. This is reportedly the first hearing of its kind in 11 years not to be dismissed immediately. The case comes as LGBTQ+ rights debates continue across South Korea. In 2024, the country's top court ruled that same-sex couples must receive equal national health insurance benefits. In 2025, the national census began, allowing same-sex couples to identify as spouses. With marriage equality, South Korea could become the fourth such country in Asia after Taiwan, Thailand, and Nepal. Well, you know, we applaud obviously these parents, you know, everywhere, you know, people, they worry about prejudice, they worry about acceptance of their children. And, you know, we want to always protect them, but it takes a lot of courage to just stand in the fear and just, you know, push yourself forward and be the person that creates change, you know, and I think about that in our own country. You know, it wasn't too long ago, maybe 15, 20 years ago, when legally same marriage here was starting to evolve, and we had to go after court. And I remember Rosie O'Donnell being in that as well. So, I mean, it's just so great to see how far, and we're in danger of also getting rid of all that, but, you know, that's where we're at.
Yeah, it's not easy being the first. So I give them my respect and my best wishes because they are breaking ground. They are creating a path. And Asia is one continent that really could be a game changer in terms of legalizing same-sex marriage and having representation and rights for LGBTQ plus community. I look forward to following this story. I hope we get more info on it.
Yeah.
And like you said, there's already been smaller decisions that have, you know, recognition, health benefits, and now they're going to hear the case. So it sounds like they've laid the legal groundwork and that they're prepared to move forward. So Yay, soul.
Courage. LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up the world. Homophobic claims against presidential aide trigger political firestorm in Indonesia. Indonesia's government is pushing back after a conservative politician, Amin Rais, accused a top presidential aide of being gay in a controversial YouTube video. Rais claimed Cabinet Secretary Teddy Indra Vijaya had become personally close to President Prabowo Subianto and called him a threat to the nation. He urged the president to replace Teddy with a normal figure. The video was later removed following a government legal complaint. Amnesty International Indonesia also condemned the remarks as discriminatory. Executive Director Usman Hamid said, there is no scientific link between lesbian or gay sexual orientation and the inability to lead, nor that it damages public morals, unquote. Neither Teddy nor President Prabowo has publicly commented. So, as an ally to Muslims and someone who respects Islam, I understand that much like a lot of countries are led by Christians and very conservative Christian nationalism, the same goes for Islam. And I know how strict and harsh the laws are. I mean, last time I checked, there's over 60 countries that still have anti-LGBTQ laws in their country. I think outing people is very dangerous, regardless of whether they're a citizen, like a public citizen, or they're in a position of power. And I would just urge, no matter where we are, to be careful about how we discuss people, even in America. Outing people, in my opinion, you're robbing that person of their autonomy. But in a country like Indonesia, that could present a lot of danger to somebody. I think this is really irresponsible.
LGBTQ plus 1 Minute News. Let's queer up gay culture. GLAAD report warns online LGBTQ safety is declining. The new report criticizes major social media platforms over declining LGBTQ plus user safety, with Meta and Twitter receiving some of the lowest scores in the annual Social Media Safety Index. The report evaluates TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Threads using 14 queer-specific safety indicators. Meta continues to face criticism for rolling back protections against anti-LGBTQ plus content, removing trans and non-binary themes on Messenger, and ending its U.S. fact-checking program, because we'll have no facts here. YouTube also remains under scrutiny after removing gender identity from its hate speech policy's protected characteristics list. GLAAD is urging the platforms to strengthen moderation, improve privacy protections, invest in human moderators, and restore safeguards for LGBTQ plus users and other marginalized community. Yeah, this is, all you have to do is look at the aborted White House Correspondents' Dinner from a couple weeks ago. When you see all the, Bezos and he was at the Met Gala, sponsoring the Met Gala, and Zuckerberg and all those, kowtowing like little simping bitches to the president and his policies.
They all kissed a ring.
Yeah.
They all kissed a ring. Okay, so it was the beginning of 2025 that we sat at this table and we talked about those rollbacks that now Facebook and Meta owns everything, right? So everything that you're on, you're like, oh, F Facebook, bitch. They own Instagram too. And guess what? TikTok that we thought would go to China is not, right? Ended up with another one of his cronies, you know? And I just think it's going to get worse and worse. The fact that most people I know got off X once they allowed you to start being racist. Yet there's still people on there. I would have thought for sure we would have, had some kind of collapse to that, So, we got to keep our eyes on this.
No, I was just going to say it's also affecting, people like ourselves that, rely on social media to get the word out for our events and things like that too. This has taken a huge hit, in terms of how we spread our word, and we have to be strategic in terms of how we're labeling things and how we're reaching our people. I'm trying to, create some sort of a buzz for a concert that, that's coming up. And so I'm having to go into the meta systems and stuff and seeing where it is that I can tag and how to reach people and stuff. And the tagging now is just so general at this point.
Yeah.
It used to be where you can get down to specific things and actually get to LGBTQ plus people that I've identified on Meta, but that's no longer there.
No.
I'm actually glad you brought that up because I also do events, and I think in the day of AI, of bots, and because they did all of those rollbacks, I am seeing slurs on every single platform.
Wow.
But I think when we're on these platforms, we can filter out certain words. And I would just encourage you, as you are planning any sort of event page, to make sure those words are filtered out in the comment section, because I have reported, I love to make reports on social media, and oftentimes, especially on Instagram, slurs directed towards me are never that we found nothing wrong with what was said. We found no issues. It has happened countless times.
These are today's headlines from Queer News Tonight, and our anchors represent the best of our LGBTQ family.
If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Don't forget to join the conversation on your favorite streaming platform.
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ+ digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support. If our community is to grow and then thrive, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world.
This is the only place in the world that tells these types of LGBTQ stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, and Queer News Tonight.
I'm your lead anchor, FayWhat, and I thank you for joining us on behalf of my fellow LGBTQ anchors here at Queer News Tonight, including Edward, Otto Zielke, John, Hayden, and Kishi Chad. We will see you daily at 8 p.m. To our LGBTQ+ world, we wish you a good night.
Good night, everyone.